Hello, my name is Geneva Simmons, and today I would like to talk about the effects of labeling on behavior. Labels are a part of our daily lives. Each and every one of us have been labeled and labeled others. Examples of common labels are pretty, smart, rude, fat, incompetent, etc. As humans, we assign labels to the things and people around us to help us make sense of the world and understand our place within it. Labels can seem both positive or negative, but can affect the way that we see ourselves, making them potentially very harmful. An example of this could be a child who wasn't necessarily labeled as dumb, but they, and likely those around them, viewed their sibling as smarter, making them not smart enough. When the person being labeled begins to believe these labels, they can come true in many cases. Howard Becker's labeling theory states just this: that people come to identify and behave in ways that reflect how others label them. His theory originated in the 1960s and is rooted in the idea of the social construction of reality. It is linked to the symbolic interactionist perspective, which focuses on the use of symbols and face-to-face interactions, and allows sociologists to evaluate the meaning of symbols and details in everyday life and how people interact with one another. The labeling theory is mostly used when talking about the sociology of crime and deviance. It is used to show that the process of labeling and treating someone as criminally deviant fosters deviant behavior. The labeling theory begins with the assumption that no act is inherently criminal. Definitions of criminality are established by those in power through the formation of laws and interpretation of those laws by police, courts, and correctional institutions. Deviance is therefore not a set of characteristics of individuals or groups, but rather it is a process of interaction between deviance and non-deviance, and the context in which criminality is being interpreted. Those who represent forces of law and order and enforce the boundaries of what is considered normal behavior, such as the police, court officials, experts, and school authorities, provide the main source of labeling. By applying labels to people and in the process creating categories of deviance, these people reinforce the power structure of society. Many of the rules that define deviance and the context in which deviant behavior is labeled as deviant are framed by the more powerful and dominant groups in society for subordinate groups. An example of this would be children who participate in activities such as playing hooky from school, breaking windows, climbing into other people's yards, or missing their curfew. In affluent neighborhoods, these acts might be regarded as innocent aspects of growing up, whereas in poor areas, the same activities might be seen as tendencies towards juvenile delinquency. This also has a negative effect on the person as they become stigmatized as a criminal and are likely to be considered and treated as untrustworthy by others. The individual is then likely to accept their deviant label and even begin acting in a way that fulfills the expectations of the label. Not all labels have to do with deviance, however. In many cases, someone coming to believe a label that they have been bestowed can hold them back from accomplishing things and cause them to have issues with their self-esteem. Labels can be especially effective when they align with the person's self-schema. A self-schema is a generalization you make about yourself based on your previous behavior and experiences. It tends to affect how you interpret and respond to other information you receive about yourself. It is important that we are all more aware of the way in which we are labeling those around us because it can have such an impact on their lives and our relationships.